be in it as a host and producer, and I'll be your moderator for today's online session, which is hosted by AAU ELEN Africa LMS. So quickly, I would like to run us through what to expect today in this session. It's going to be about a couple of hours. So once I'm done with this introduction, we would take our opening remarks from the CEO of ELEN Africa LMS. Then we'll take a presentation from Orlando Franco, who's the COO as well of ELEN Africa LMS. Then we'll do a question and answer session from there. And then we'll do our first panel discussion. I'll introduce our guests when we get there. And then another Q&A session follows. And then we'll do the first panel discussion. Then after that, another question and answer session. Then we'll do a final presentation as well. So this is what we are going to be doing throughout this couple of hours. Will be online here. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here. I see about 50 of us from all over the continent here, and we appreciate you. Thank you so much. So I'll quickly invite the CEO, Brooke Negusi, to speak. But before he does that, let me just do a brief introduction of the CEO of ELEN Africa LMS. Brooke Negusi is the Chief Executive Officer and Chief Technology Officer of ELEN Africa. He founded the company to expand educational opportunities throughout Africa by leveraging technology. Negusi has a diverse background, having been educated in Europe and Canada, and has over 19 years of experience in leadership roles across international technology companies, including telecommunications and satellite communications. His work has been characterized by a solid commitment to providing educational resources to the underserved. Under Negusi's leadership, ELEN Africa LMS has partnered with major academic institutions and platforms like Rhodes University, Njala University, and the University of Nigeria to offer online degrees and thousands of courses from EDX and FutureLearn. The platform aims to make high-quality education accessible and affordable, addressing the educational needs of millions of students across Africa. So, without wasting any more time, I'll invite Brooke Negusi to take over from here. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the introduction, Philemon. I guess distinguished colleagues, it's a privilege to be gathered here with all of our favorite educators and new educators we haven't met. Today's summit is about advancing online education throughout the continent. And we've basically have discussed this internally, and one of our colleagues basically said it best way. This is an opportunity. It's not merely about technology. And where we're advancing with online education throughout the continent is about the opportunity to expand online degrees for undergraduate and graduate studies, and also for making it accessible, affordable, and truly borderless. So I want to take some time real quickly and just thank everybody for joining us, as well as, if I may, Philemon, I'd also like to just I actually was thinking about how we would do this, in which order, but I also want to acknowledge the tribute and a tribute to the late Madame Nadumo, who had a profound understanding of online education, and her untimely passing. But this is the first summit that we're doing with Madame Nadumo, so may her legacy continue to guide and inspire the work we're doing. So just taking a quick moment would be great. Thank you. Suleiman, I think we can begin.
All right. Thank you very much, Brooke Negusi, for that very brief welcome address, for also acknowledging Madame Neduma. Thank you so much. So we would go straight into the first session, which is a presentation from Orlando Franco, who's the COO of ELEN Africa LMS. Franco, if you are with us, I see you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Philemon. Let me first try to share my screen. Please give me a second to just try to share my screen, because I have a presentation I would like to share with you all.
All right. So,
yes.
Yeah, we can hear you. So, whilst we wait for the presentation to come up, Orlando Franco will be presenting on the AAU ELEN Africa LMS partnerships, a case study in scaling digital learning across Africa. So that's what we are going to do with Orlando Franco. Thank you. And for everybody who's going to be doing presentation, you'll be made so you can easily share your screen if there's the need, so we can all see what you presented. Thank you so much.
Okay. Now I'm back. I share a request to be able to share, and then we can start. Wonderful.
Okay.
Now we have.
I think you're made co-host now.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Well, good afternoon. Thank you all for joining today. It's a pleasure to address this distinguished audience. And today I'll be sharing a perspective on scaling partnerships in the context of higher education in Africa. My name is Orlando Franco. As Philemon was sharing, I've had the privilege of being close to many digital transformations around the world over the past 2 decades. And lately I joined Brooke and this partnership to help drive the change within African higher education with the adoption of technology. And over the course of the past years, we faced many moments when we felt like hitting a wall, facing resistance, and when it seems that results were not happening. It's normal. But also we face moments where we learn together, and most importantly, we build together more access to education with the new tools that we have today are at our disposal. And I want to share some of those experiences, what this partnership has taught us, not much about technology as Brooke was mentioning, but more about the passion, collaboration and commitment led us to succeed, and how that can write the next chapter for education across Africa, even globally. And this is a checkpoint for us, and it's, of course, an invitation for all of you that are present today. So let me start first with an obvious statement. In today's digital era, progress happens in really short cycles, and there's a progressive acceleration of how technology is changing things. And what used to take a few years ago, now can happen in a few weeks. Many of the skills and tools that are reinventing our world today have appeared in the last 3 months. Everything is changing. The ground is shaking, as some people say. However, many organizations still move at the pace of paperwork and the comfort of the status quo. They're not taking into account what is possible. They're not looking beyond what they are used to doing. There is this comfort that they take into what is known. And the result is just that by the time an agreement is signed, the context that inspired this agreement is likely to be already obsolete. So the question is not whether we can digitize or not African higher education. That's a given. The question is what needs to happen to scale digital education? How can we match the pace of the world we live in? And the second obvious statement is the scale of the opportunity. This is the largest opportunity worldwide. Africa has the largest pool of untapped talent in the world. 400 universities that we have in the AAU network, millions of students and potential students, dozens of millions that are waiting for access that currently, for different reasons, cannot happen today. And we all know that we simply cannot build enough classrooms or source enough equipment to meet that demand. So the only way forward is digital expansion with the quality at scale, enabling universities that reach every capable learner, wherever they are. So now that we know about the context of fast technological development and the massive talent gap in the continent, if we want to get there, we have to redefine what a partnership means. And for too long, partnerships were proud of how comprehensive, how exhaustive and safe that agreement felt. Signed documents, long committees, months or even years of planning before anything moved. This model cannot survive. Partnerships in the digital era are built on momentum, not robustness. They look like this. They have a rapid co-creation instead of dormant MOUs. They are sitting there for months, if not years. They rely on rolling pilots, on testing, on building, instead of waiting for the perfect blueprint before launching. And very importantly, they rely on empowered collaboration instead of hierarchy, waiting for the leader to push people. People need to take initiative and know how to act and have the right context to work and to make things happen. So today, the real measure of a partnership is the speed and the scale of its outcomes. It's not the good faith of the commitments stated in a press release. It's about getting results because we have the technology to make it happen, and because this is an opportunity that is probably once in a generation that happens and is in front of us. And that's exactly the direction that we have built for the AAU and other Africa partnership. We started 10 years ago in 2015, where we partner as a learning platform for this large number of universities. Actually, 120 universities have been, over the course of the last 10 years, involved in one way or another with this adoption. And today we have, as it was mentioned earlier, 3 online master's degrees live and admitting students. So we are giving that big step. We have the capacity to embrace thousands of applicants and give them education right away there are 5 more in development, and the next milestone beyond this year is to be able to scale operations capable of launching multiple programs each month, each of them being able to enroll hundreds or thousands of students every year, with the flexibility that we know that the online model provides for both students and faculty. So what started as a vision is now a growing ecosystem. It's a proof that collaboration across countries and institutions can deliver real and working results. And of course, none of this came easy, because as we learned, technology alone is not enough. The real work lies on how organizations adapt to use it. We had to rethink how we plan resources for online tutoring and grading. How do we onboard and train faculty to leverage this digital learning experience, and how we modernize policies that were written for a classroom that is digital. And these challenges are not barriers. They are just the growing pains of any transformation. And every institution that faces these challenges is not falling behind. It's actually building the muscle memory to leverage digital education. It just makes these institutions stronger. So the most important transformation builds on these challenges. But the most important feature is not technical, it's related to the mindset. So we need to think about the mindset that we want to shift in terms to think about this new way of working. And sorry, I don't know if Philemon, we can mute. I think I can.
Okay. Yes, we're working on that. Sorry, Franco.
Thank you. No worries. Thank you, Philemon. So we spoke about the mindset change that we need to embrace this way of working. And when we think about the mindset shift, institutions that succeed are those that change their mindset to embrace digital not as a project, not as a one-time thing. The mindset is simple. You change as a team, as an institution, and personally, how we think about digitizing education. We need to understand how it works, really commit to the idea of doing things differently, learning what is possible with the digital tools that we have. And that in turn will improve how we work with agility, how we use data to take better decisions, and having a discipline to constantly improve and challenge the way we do things, and especially to adopt evolving technologies. So at the end, this transforms and redefines how outcomes the outcomes that we can achieve. We can achieve more, we can achieve better things with the tools that we have at our disposal. And once this cycle starts, progress just reinforces itself. This is a virtuous cycle where stronger mindset helps us do better things and achieve better outcomes, which reinforces this mindset. That's the state that we want to build with all the partners that we have across the board. And when it comes in the other outcome of the mindset change is that it provides a foundation, but to get to pay it off, we need to dive deep into rethinking the way we operate. And we've seen some tangible results. It's about how we adapt in process so we can achieve visible impact. We have, for example, redefine the way how the intake experience has been done to improve the throughput. So admissions can take days instead of months. And this has many implications. It has implications of the resources that we have, the expectations of a student, competition. So there are many different positives from getting a good start to the experience and getting them on board as fast as possible, because the students are eager to learn, eager to change their lives and to improve and to get better skills. Also, during this first contact and through the learning experience, the the enablement of different channels to contact with them, again, in the context of offline, online, and the ability to look at how they behave, get that, thinking about, again, the data-driven decision-making. We are able to observe and tap the experience and map experience in the digital platforms. We can also improve the retention and the conversion of students through their journey. We see a decrease in the dropout rate. We look at adherence, and we also know selectively where to act, where to reinforce, where students may be dropping or getting lost in the process. And finally, there is the administrative burden, which I would take as one of the biggest enablers of being able to tap into a larger number of students with the same amount of people. So when we think about grading, tutoring, this is also something that can be amplified, can be simplified if we not only apply technology, but also rethink the way we do things. And these are not theoretical improvements. These are measurable and repeatable results. So they prove to be a powerful point where progress doesn't come from repeating what worked yesterday. It comes from adapting faster than the environment changes. So the call to action here brings us to today's opportunity. A partnership is not about implementing tech fast and leaving it to IT. It's about a stronger collaboration and commitment through tech and the learning experience. And the AAU and eLearn Africa partnership has built a blueprint with its initial experiences launching degrees, and also with what we're building with content creators with the certificates in a platform, where we're showing that what the digital collaboration can achieve across different geographies and contexts. So the AAU network is becoming now the largest living innovation lab to expand digital learning in Africa. And together we can take the lessons that we've learned and scale them. That's what this is about. So I just want to leave you with one thought. We are at the tipping point, one of those rare moments where the combination of technology, talent capacity, and collaboration gives us the power to redefine the future of education. What we do next, in the next year, in the next few months, will shape how Africa learns for decades. And this is a time to join this transformation. This is a call to action for all of you, where every institution that takes part will strengthen their entire network, and every new program that launches brings us closer to this universal access that we're trying to build. And of course, you are all invited to keep this momentum alive with us. And all I have to say is thank you, and let's keep building this future together.
Thank you very much, Orlando Franco. Indeed, what we do in the next months or days or years will shape education in Africa. Thank you so much. Now I'll invite questions from all of us. If anybody has questions and wants to ask Orlando Franco any questions regarding his presentation. He has mentioned a few challenges, and he has mentioned how these opportunities can be scaled to the next level to make Africa a better place in terms of higher education. So if you have any questions, would like to take them now, you can show by your hand, and then I can call you, and then you can ask your question, please, if there are any questions.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yeah, this is Dr. Adam from Ghana, Winneba, University of Education, Winneba. That is, thank you for the presentation. That was an elaborate and a demand-driven presentation highlighting the challenges of university education in Africa. One point that I need to just make mention of is the fact that in our universities these days, we have learners with diverse needs, those with disabilities, especially those with visual impairment and hearing impairment. many teachers or many faculty members find it difficult teaching these learners. So the advent and use of technology in educating them is very, very important. I know subsequent presentations may cover as to how we can include these learners in our classrooms using technology. But technology has proven, for the little that I know about technology and educating these students, it has helped them a lot. So if we can employ it, it will also address the difficulty that these learners may face in our classrooms. So just a brief comment, but thank you for the presentation. That was a great one. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. I think that's a great point that you're mentioning. There's a lot of people that have limitations to access education and in general any service, and it's a tough reality that they face. But precisely building this online blueprint can actually become the foundations on top of which we can deliver all these services. And the technological developments not only happen on the core features and services and products that relate to education, but they also happen in accessibility, both visual and auditive. So we don't have something specific to share, but I think if we have an online blueprint, it's much more feasible to deliver that to their homes, to wherever they are, and look at those solutions embedded in what we will deliver, where we're building in a partnership, as opposed of trying to build this in every classroom and on top of that build the facilities and infrastructure for accessibility. It becomes also less possible. So what I've seen, and I've seen in different areas, not only in education but in services in general, is that when you have a digital blueprint, it becomes easier and more feasible financially, but also operationally viable to implement and put in place these solutions for people with disabilities. But that's a great point, Adam, and thank you for bringing it.
All right. Any more questions? Thank you, Adam Awini, for that. Any more contributions or questions from the presentation from Orlando Franco? Any more, please. Those of you whom I want to type your questions in the comment section as well, you are allowed to do that, and I can read. Probably you are not at liberty to speak freely wherever you may be. So if you do that, I will gladly read out your questions. So Orlando Franco can answer.
Okay. And also, if we probably in a summary, maybe there's an email after this session, I can share my contact details. So if anyone has any question that comes about this or anything related to adopting technology, happy to be in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Orlando. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So based on that, and I guess we can move on to the next session if there are no questions or contributions coming in. We'll end this Q&A session, and then we'll go into the first panel discussion, and we'll be talking about the impact of distance education in Africa, student voices on successes and challenges. Practically, we are going to be hearing about testimonials. And we have Charity and Emil to help us go through this. Charity and Emil, are you with me?
Excuse me,
yes.
Philan. Yeah, Charity is in, but Emily is on the plane, so Emily can make it. But we do have some student. Jocelyn is in from Kenya, or Doris. They could jump in to replace Emily. Emily is on the plane. He hasn't made it.
Oh,
but Charity is in. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. So then Jocelyn and Doris, together with Charity, will help us do this, as Sidiki Chari has mentioned. So we can begin that session now with Doris, Jocelyn, and then Charity. So I'll be asking a few questions regarding your experiences so far since you have benefited from this online study approach. But before we go into that, I would like to know you briefly. So let me begin with Charity. Charity, can you briefly introduce yourself and your institution and then the program that you study?
Yeah, my name is Charity Nduhura. I am a distance education for Africa beneficiary, and I did a number of courses with distance education for Africa, including I did a number of courses including project planning, that is fundamentals of project planning, 5-course specialization in business strategy, growth to greatness, smart growth for private businesses, and many, many others. And currently I work with as a programs manager, Small Steps Foundation in Uganda. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Charity. Jocelyn, kindly introduce yourself as well. Can you hear me, Jocelyn?
Well, Jocelyn, we were not informed, so I'm not sure if she's in.
Hello.
Oh, Jocelyn is in. Okay.
Okay.
Yes,
Right.
I'm in. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Jocelyn,
Okay.
please, did you hear me from the beginning?
The network has been fluctuating. Maybe you can repeat.
Okay, so I was just asking that you introduce yourself before we begin to do the discussion around your experiences and you share your testimonial with us. So just introduce yourself and the course that you studied.
Okay, fine. Okay, my name is Jocelyn Mekredi Radak. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya. And I'm a senior office administrator at Agriculture Development Corporation, a government parastatal in Kenya. Okay. So I knew about the Africa through an online Facebook page led by Terianne Chebet for African Leading Ladies, and that's where I enrolled in several courses for Diva Africa, thanks to also Sidiki Traore, the president of Diva Africa. So what I can say, I did 5 courses from University of Virginia through Diva Africa. I did foundations of business strategy, design thinking for innovation, ethical leadership through giving voices to values. That was, I don't think it was from Virginia, but it was through the Coursera. Then growth to greatness, smart growth for private businesses, and high-stakes leadership, leading in times of crisis. I did that course during COVID times. I wanted to learn how to deal with crisis. Yeah, so at the moment, I'm doing an entrepreneurship. I did an entrepreneurship course last month with Professor Will Kanye, and it was very inspiring. So what I can say about the Africa, it has opened doors for me that I never thought was possible. Yeah, because also COVID came to teach us something, and this is one of the many things COVID came to teach us, that you can learn so much without, you can learn so much online without necessarily going to a physical class. So I think I'm grateful. I'm grateful to God for the opportunity, and I cannot take it for granted. So I think that is what I have to say. And thank you so much for this webinar. It was timely. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jocelyn. Next, we can hear from Doris. But I see Doris has typed in here that she's a facilitator of blended and distance education at Kenyatta University in Kenya. That is the Department of Educational Communication and Technology. Okay, so that will probably be the introduction for Doris. So the three of you help us to understand your experiences during your time of study and whilst you're still studying. So let me begin with you, Charity. Charity, how has your perception of online education changed since you began your studies? Possibly, did you have any kind of perception before now, having this experience?
My perception has greatly changed. I didn't know that you can actually do study from an international university when you're seated here in my local village in Barada, in Uganda. But with the online education through distance education for Africa, I have had an opportunity to study from University of Virginia, which I had never dreamt of before. And having the best tutors, the facilitators, and learning from the first world, international universities that I couldn't think with my level, in Uganda here, and my level of income and everything. I don't think I could have an opportunity to do that. And also, I didn't know that you can study without supervision. Here in Uganda, it is too much of classwork. You have to be in and the supervisor on your case. But I was able to do about 6 courses online and complete them without anybody on my back. So really, I now know that you can do anything online, and given opportunity, I believe I will be able to do a PhD online here. Thank you so much.
That's very interesting to hear. And I like that you are aspiring to even go on to do a PhD, even if it's online. You're very interested. Jocelyn, so tell us, what are some of the factors that have influenced your decision to study online? Was it about the flexibility or the accessibility, or maybe you had to do with less cost, or maybe for career advancement?
Okay, what made me really study online was because I wanted to get more knowledge. Getting skills and knowledge is a lifetime. You always learn every day. Even with computers, you learn something every day. So I wanted to be more aware of what I'm doing and do it well, because some of the tactics that I've learned online is the courses I've learned online have helped me even in my own business. I do business as something on the side apart from being in the office. So I think it is a great initiative to do online. But what I did not know, like Charity, is like I could do something online from a university in the US. Yeah, thank you.
Nice. That's interesting. All right. So, Doris, you also tell us, in your experience, how accessible are online opportunities for students across Africa, especially those in rural and underserved areas? Did you have any kind of information even prior to your experience you can share from that point as well?
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, my internet disconnected when I was about to speak, but I'm back. So I said I'm a facilitator, but on top of that, I have done many online courses, so a number of certificates with different organizations and universities. But as for the access, we still have our students struggling to get the internet connectivity. Our university has done a great job of getting the students the hotspots everywhere in the campuses, but you find that there are downsides when the students are working and it becomes difficult. And when these students, most of the students go back to their hostels and their other living places, they struggle with the internet connectivity, because it's quite expensive when they have to buy if they are living outside the campus. But it's a great thing to do. I'm sure we have established Open University, And I believe this is the way forward, since most of the students don't seem to want to sit through the courses for the 4 years. As our first facilitator said, the world is moving very fast, and it looks as if we are going to reimagine and rethink the tenure or the number of years that we have our students sit in front of us or listen to us in any way. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Doris. Your responses are quite interesting already, and I'm fascinated by that. Let me come back to you, Charity. Do you think that this online education is closing the gaps in access to quality higher education across the continent of Africa?
Yes, and from my experience, really, it is really helping a lot. Reason most of us cannot afford to pay for such quality education. So having access to such kind of education is a very big opportunity for us. And also being online, it is very flexible for us to do anytime from anywhere you are, wherever you are, and especially for us women, when it comes to gender roles, it is very challenging to travel and go for 3 years to do a course, of which course you can actually do from home, from your sitting room, and keep your family, because we are given, to choose between having your family or going for higher education. You can't keep away for 3 years, studying and expect to find your husband waiting for you. So this is an opportunity for us. If you could really take it as far as PhD level, it will be so much better for us. And even now, these postgraduate courses that we are doing are helping us. I've told you about these courses that I have done. I have changed a lot. They've boosted my confidence. In addition to the knowledge I have gained, I now represent students at governing council level because of the confidence and self-esteem that I gained from the courses I've done through distance education for Africa, of which opportunity I wouldn't have had. I wouldn't believe in myself if I had not done such courses. So it is really narrowing the gap and giving us an opportunity to compete at a global level and achieve what we wouldn't have achieved without such opportunities. Yeah, thank you.
Very interesting, Charity. I like that you mentioned the women factor and how you still have to manage your home, your marriages and all of those things while still doing this. I see how much you appreciate this. Very interesting. All right, so Jocelyn, back to you. What aspects of online learning, for example, the course delivery, assessment, or interaction, have been most effective for you? Hello, Jocelyn, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, I can hear you. Can you repeat?
Right. Yeah, so I was asking with regards to the online study. Let's look at course delivery, assessment, or interactions. Which one of these ones have been most effective for you when it comes to online studies? Can you hear me, Jocelyn?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
I think the one that has been very effective to me is how to manage your business and to know how to interact with customers. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. All right. No problem. So Doris, let me come back to you as well. As a student, whether in the classroom, physically or online, you need to be motivated. You need to keep focus. and you need to remain disciplined while you're studying. Somehow, you can say that you can maintain some of these things easily when you're doing a face-to-face kind of thing. But how are these things for you when it comes to the online study? How do you keep your motivation? How do you keep your focus? How do you keep your discipline?
Oh, okay. I may not be in the same program with my colleagues who are speaking.
Okay.
But of course, as I said, I've been in a number of them recently in an AI program. Once you know what you want from a particular program, like for that particular program of AI, sitting through 19 hours almost straight, I knew I wanted to understand how I can make my work easier using AI. So the goal that a student has is the driving force. You have to get disciplined, because without that discipline, in spite of what surrounds you, as my sister said, the family and other responsibilities, then you cannot get to the goal, or you cannot attain the goal. So the question is, one of them is focus. Really, one has to be focused. You must dream about that success once you are through with that course. So begin with that end in mind. And I think that is going to be a big driving force. Yes, the challenges are many. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Doris. Let's get into back to you, Charity. Okay. Let's talk about how you possibly describe a course, a project, or learning experience that has stood out for you or has been your highlight in your online education journey. Is there anything in particular that has stood out for you?
Yes, I did a number of courses, but this course in particular, which is Fundamentals of Project Planning and Management, it opened the door to my career now. It inspired me to even go further and study more about it. I had to do a postgraduate diploma in project planning and management, of which I actually got first class with A's, because I already
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I already had the foundation, so they were building on the strong foundation from University of Virginia. And currently, I'm now pursuing PMP certification from PMI, of which my exam is scheduled at the end of this month. And I would like to do, as I said, to go ahead and do PhD in the same discipline because of the love that I developed from the first course. And besides that, the skills made me gain the visibility online and ended up getting a job, this current role that I'm doing as a programs manager with a Small Steps Foundation. I got it online through the visibility because of what I had done with Distance Education for Africa. And more to that, apart from the NGO work, it helped me to open a door in academia. I right now lecture in 2 public universities here in Uganda, and I only teach business-related courses because of what I learned from University of Virginia and all the inspiration I got. It is more than education for me. The journey with Distance Education for Africa is more than education, but just transformation of my life. So looking back, I see the Africa not only as a provider of education, but as a platform that has, shaped my career, leadership, and purpose. As I said, now I represent the whole, all the participants, all the students in Uganda Management Institute at the governing level, at that level, the highest top level, because of the confidence I gained from doing these courses. So project planning, shaping my career, giving me purpose of what I am doing now in Uganda and actually beyond. So That's what I could say for now, but it is so much that I can testify about. Yeah. So kudos to Distance Education for Africa. Thank you, Sidiki, the founder, Distance Education for Africa, Palma, our mentor, and University of Virginia. We are really grateful. Thank you for believing in us. Thank you for believing in us to change the lives of Ugandans and other people in the world. We are very, very grateful. Yeah, thank you.
Very insightful responses from you, Charity. I am impressed to hear all of the things that you have done with us. You have just answered the next question I was going to go into regarding personal growth and professional development, but that's an absolute testimony as to what this online education has done for you and your colleagues. All right, so Jocelyn, tell me or tell us one new skills, for example, digital communication or problem solving, can you say that you have gained as a result of your studies online? Can you hear me, Jocelyn?
Yes, I can. Sorry, I'm in between work and this, so you'll excuse me if I don't hear what you say. Yeah, I think what I've gained in my online studies is being focused, and also being keen on what I'm doing, and also knowing how to talk with people in every circumstances, because we come from different backgrounds, so you may not know what somebody is going through. So I think that is what basically I've learned, and also being upbeat and wanting to learn more, even when I'm working. Thank you.
Absolutely impressive. Thank you so much, Jocelyn. Doris, so help us understand this. Has the flexibility of studying online influenced your ability to balance academic, professional, and personal commitments, given the fact that it's online?
A great deal. I believe when you have 1,000 schedules, it's like a mother who has twins and has to deal with each one of them equally. So that instills discipline in one, without which, as I said earlier, progress will not be made, and the satisfaction of achieving that goal will not come. Thank you.
Thank you, Doris. Let me come back to you, Charity. What are some of the major challenges you have encountered as an online student? Technological, academic, social, and how have you managed them?
I think the challenge is with these competing activities that we have, setting up aside, setting time aside to go through the courses that we study is not easy, being a postgraduate student with family and all these other things around us. But what we do, how I overcome is prioritizing. You need this education, so you must find time. And this goes back to also the way the courses are structured. I heard you asking a question about the delivery methods. So the delivery methods also matter. For example, now this is live, it's online and it is live. It is very challenging to get that particular time and sit aside and say, this is the time for studying. The course is running at this particular time. It is a bit challenging for us. I had to come running from where I'm coming from to first sit here and then proceed with the journey. You can hear the background noise a bit. So, but the way the courses are structured, like from the University of Virginia, is they are recorded videos. You have time, you can do your activity in the day and set aside an hour or two in the evening after work and go through the videos, answer the quiz, and then do your assignments at your own convenience. So this has been of help so much. And yeah, we try to balance here and there, and with delivery mode, it helps us so much to prioritize and catch up with all the activities.
Thank you so much, Charity. So this directly leads me to a very straight question. So Jocelyn, for example, you are juggling even between work and this summit at the moment. So let's look at it, assuming this was an online class. Tell me how supportive your instructors or your institutions have been whilst addressing the challenges of distance learning.
Okay, what I can say is I've been creating my own time during the break, like maybe lunch hour, and also after 5, I stay in so that I do the online classes most of the time. The online classes that you can do on your own, those ones I did like that, but the ones that we were joining while I'm at work, I just created a 10-minute break. I go and do the online, then I come back. Yeah. So that is how I did it. It's just about creating time.
Say that again. We didn't hear the last thing you said.
I'm saying that it's just about creating time. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. All right. So before we go, just a couple of more questions, and then we can end the session, and we can do some questions from all of us on the summit. Charity, Doris, in your opinion, what improvements do you think is needed to make online education more effective, inclusive, and engaging in Africa, given your experience? Are you with me, Doris?
Hello. Sorry, Philemon, I'm in between two events. I had already sent my apology, but just repeat that so that I can respond before I leave.
Yeah, so I was asking, in your opinion, what improvements do you think is necessary to make online education more effective, inclusive, and more engaging in Africa?
Okay, let me start with, I think that one of the items, inclusion. Someone mentioned the challenged students, and I've been very concerned about particularly the students who come with different disabilities or challenges, hearing impairment, and they struggle even when there is technology. So we need to up the game by getting the tools, the applications, the AI tools that can assist each one of these levels of students so that they do not struggle, they do not feel excluded in any way. Number two, if governments could commit more to improving the connectivity, the internet connectivity to enable each one of the learners to get maximum from whatever course they enroll in. Thank you very much. Allow me to exit. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Doris, for your time. For all of you who are juggling work and the summit, we appreciate your efforts. So, Charity, let me end with you on this session. Looking ahead, what do you think the vision or the future of online education for Africa should be? And what should be the role of students, universities, and then the governments that play in achieving this?
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. I think as the first speaker, the first presenter said, we need more partnerships with these local institutions to increase accessibility, and also going deep down for those who can't access, internet, deep down in rural villages. What are we doing for inclusivity at least? So how How about setting up centers for such people? Going deep down in camps, in refugee camps, in these rural villages where they don't have an opportunity to do these courses, to come to town and maybe access internet, have smartphones. People don't have smartphones and they want to study. How about, looking for those partnerships will help us establish such centers to make it accessible to many more participants who are left out in this. So I think as government and other institutions, we should look at that to also take it to another level. As I said from the start, I want to do PhD, but I'm wondering, how do I leave my family for 3+ years doing PhD, and you expect to find your family intact here? Who is going to wait for you? We need also to advance it to that level so that we can benefit more, and also not as women, not given, to choose between having a family and advancing your career and education. We can do both given this online studying opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Charity, Jocelyn, and Doris. Your perspectives on this session has been very insightful, and I love that you added the feminine touch to it. And I would love to hear Emil as well. He's a gentleman. He would have told us what his experiences were. But I totally can understand and agree with you how flexible this has been and aided your careers so far. So thank you for doing this. Right now, we'll take questions. We have a few minutes more to end the session, but if there are any questions that are coming in or anybody wants to find out, please, this is the right time to ask those questions. And then ideally, Charity and Doris can answer you. Jocelyn has asked for apologies to exit because she is busy in the office. So Charity and Doris are still here. If you have any questions, you can unmute and then kindly go ahead and ask. Okay, I see Doris also has asked, sent her apologies to exit. Yeah, but once the questions come in, we have able personnel here. Siddiqui is still here. He can help us. Assistant for Mukasa as well. Yeah, they can help us answer these questions. So if you have any questions, this is the right time regarding this first panel discussion. All right, so I would want to take the silence to mean that everybody's convinced about the submissions of Charity, Jocelyn, and Doris. So without wasting time, I'll quickly jump into the second panel discussion, and we'll be discussing advancing online education in Africa, harnessing the successes of distance education and overcoming its challenges. And to do this, part of the panel discussion, Siddiqui Traore and Stanford Mukasa. Siddiqui is the president and founder, Distance Education for Africa Incorporated, D-Africa. And then Stanford Mukasa is an associate professor, researcher, consultant, communication education, journalism, public relations, ICTs, and mass media. Siddiqui and Stanford, thank you very much for being here. This is the brief introduction I'll do for both of you, but if there's anything else you want to add in terms of my introduction, please, you are allowed to do so before we begin the discussion. All right.
You're on mute.
Sorry, Brooke, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, Professor Mukasa is on mute.
Oh, Professor Mukasa, kindly unmute. We cannot hear you. I see you speaking, yes. Thank you very much, Brooke. Thank you.
Okay, I was going to say, Sidigi, would you like to begin?
Sorry, Professor, I can't hear you well.
You can't hear me?
Okay, it's audible now. It's audible now.
You can hear me now?
Yes, it's better. It's better.
Okay, all right. Okay, maybe I can begin. I've got two experiences that I like to preface my remarks. The first was, oh, by the way, I'm speaking from the diaspora perspective. And there has been a lot of talk about how the diaspora can be involved in distance education in Africa. I have been involved in distance education in Africa for many, many years, since 2002. But I like to share these to begin by sharing these two experiences. One was in 2009 at a conference on eLearn Africa that was held in Dakar, Senegal. The then president of Senegal, Wade, in his remarks, said that Africa expects the diaspora to participate in the transfer of technology through distance education. He accepted that chances of the diaspora coming back home were slim, but he said you can transfer your knowledge and skills to Africa. In fact, he said you have a duty to do so. And he said you must not expect advanced infrastructures in Africa. And when you are making a strategy for distance education for Africa, you must expect to teach students in well-designed classrooms, but also teach students who are learning under trees, and those were his exact words. So you can expect a variety of infrastructures. And then he said, well, we cannot tell you, the people in diaspora, how to bring IC technology to students who are learning under trees. That's your responsibility. Those were his exact words. Fortunately, I had had this experience 8 years earlier when I got some international grants to teach distance education in Somalia, of all the places. At that time, Somalia had the poorest ICT infrastructure. And my challenge, I did not want to call it a problem, but my challenge was, how do you teach distance education in an environment where there is hardly any ICT infrastructure? At that time, Somalia was divided into 3 semi-autonomous regions. They hardly had any broadband. In fact, broadband was still a novelty for most of Africa. So it was going to be impossible with me here in Pennsylvania teaching students in Somalia. I saw that as a challenge. And the way I overcame that challenge is probably a textbook case about how to talk about lessons learned, to talk about innovation. So to me, innovation in distance education is a very important feature that should continue to be part of the dialogue and part of the strategy? Well, because there was no broadband, because the infrastructure was poor, what I decided to do was to video record my lectures on VHS tapes, make copies of those tapes, and ask the universities in Somaliland and Puntland and Somalia to have video players and overhead projection units. If they did not have a screen, they could use the white wall. So I shipped my lectures on VHS tapes to Africa Virtual University, from where they were forwarded to Somalia. And guess what? It worked. By the end of that contract period, over 300 students had graduated. I was teaching journalism and mass media. Now, the point I'm trying to say from this experience is we must bring all kinds of resources. One thing I noticed with the advent of the internet, some traditional resources for communication were being thrown away. For example, nobody talked about radio anymore. Nobody talked about interpersonal communication anymore. Nobody talked about the traditional means of communication. And my point from this experience was that we must have an integrated approach. I think some people talk about the blended education. I'm still happy with the integrated approach. Don't throw away all the technologies. If you can still use VHS tapes, don't say they are out of fashion. They can still work in places where internet access. In fact, I heard some of the students talk about the problems for accessing the internet. And this is where an integrated ICT approach to communication education, through distance education, will work. Don't throw away that video player. It can still be used to supplement the instruction, and that is how Africa will progress. Another experience I had was I came up with an idea project that was the School on the Air project, and I was working with the Ministry of Primary Education in Zimbabwe. They had thousands of people, students who drop out of high school. They are unemployed. They're just milling around in the streets. And the director for curriculum education at that point said, what we would like the diaspora people to do is to come up with the kind of education that would make that would give those students some entrepreneurial skills. So those are the two challenges. And I think they are still valid even to this day. How can we in the diaspora contribute? And another experience that I had, I just didn't want to bring it in, was I taught some distance education courses at Lilongwe University of Natural Resources. And they asked me, can you teach courses that will incorporate new technologies in improving life, especially in rural areas? And my approach here now was to say, let us look at what is happening in the research institutions in Africa. What are they producing? Are they sharing their products, their findings with the local people? Is there any transfer of knowledge and skills from these research institutes so that the local populations can benefit? And that's why I ran a webinar last year on transforming university communication policies so that they can incorporate distance education that will transfer the knowledge and the research findings from this research institute so that they can be used to improve the people's lives. I used one example in one of my lectures. There is what is known as a hippo drum. I don't know how many of you might have heard about it. It's a rolling drum that you can use to carry water from one place to another. And it eases the agony of women carrying drums of water, water cans on their heads and walking long distances. And in areas where they have been implemented, they've been pretty successful. So my other approach to distance education was to look around Africa, to look at some of the success experiences at human socio-economic development, where these hippodrums have been successfully implemented. Can that knowledge be shared with places where they don't have? Another example I gave in my lecture was the solar power energy. And there are quite a number of places around Africa where people are now using solar power instead of, cutting wood and firewood and making fires. They are now using solar energy. How are they doing it? How can that information be shared with other places where they don't have that kind of an experience? And this is another strategic approach in distance education that I talk about when we look at the lessons learned. What have we learned from our experiences in the past? And how can we implement them in a way that will bring about meaningful human socio-economic development? And that's why I've always stressed that universities should use distance education in collaboration with the diaspora. I know there's a suspicion that the diaspora tend to look down on their local counterparts. We should adopt a strategy of partnership. And there's been a lot of talk about partnership, namely that people should join hands. When I went to Nairobi and other places, I did not go there as an expert. I went there as a partner. I wanted to learn about the experiences on the ground, and then I would also share with my own experiences. And then putting those experiences together, we could come up with some meaningful results in promoting distance education in Africa.
Thank you, Professor Mukasa. So I am very grateful for all of these insights by way of your introduction. You have just set a very good tone for us. But let me just add this up quickly. So to save time, we'll just add the two more panelists to discuss this into details. And that's Mr. Brooke Negusi, and that's the CEO of ELEN Africa LMS, and then Dr. Felicia Nkrumah-Kwagbeji, who is the acting coordinator ICT, Communications and Knowledge Management here at the AAU. And Mr. Negusi and Dr. Felicia will be talking about driving institutional adaptation of LMS platforms for short courses and capacity building. So we'll be boxing these two topics together. So the four of you will be doing justice to this session for me. So having set the tone, Professor Mukasa, let me come to you, Siddiqui. So based on, I believe because of your experience and your startups for whatever you have done so far, you'll be able to let us know strongly right now what the state of online and distance education in Africa is at the moment. Professor Mukasa shared some examples in his Somalia story, where at the time infrastructure was so poor. What can you say is the current state of online education in Africa? Siddiqui, please. I think you are muted. Kindly unmute before you speak, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just wanted to thank quickly Charity and Jocelyn and Doris for jumping in. My name is Sidiki Traore. I'm the president and founder of Distance Education for Africa. But if you allow me to just say a few things about Distance Education for Africa before answering the question, because people don't know what DE Africa is, So please, Distance Education for Africa is a non-profit educational organization designed to provide in-demand workforce and professional online education for all in Africa. So DE Africa has been instrumental in breaking educational barriers and providing quality education to thousands in Africa. What is our approach? DE Africa approach is based on three principles. One, how do you integrate technology into education? Two, how do you address digital literacy in Africa? And three, how do you ensure equitable access to all in Africa? We focus on building a skilled and resilient workforce. Our program emphasizes practical skill development in fields like technology, agriculture, and many areas. So what kind of courses do we offer? We offer what we call a cutting-edge courses, which are practical. We have forged strategic collaboration with global education to provide industry skill-based programs that empower African learners and bridge the digital divide and enhance employability. That's really one of our skills. So we focus on digital skill like digital transformation, digital marketing, digital product management. And as Charity has said, we have offered all these courses. So we have been able to collaborate with the University of Virginia and different universities, and we have offered over 60,000 scholarships, reaching learners in every single country in Africa. So just to give you I could talk about, how we did it and the impact later on. Yeah. Filmo, I can hear you. You mute, eh?
Oh, I'm sorry. So I was just saying that based off on the figures you have just given, over 60,000 people that you have impacted, what are the major successes or milestones have you observed in the implementation of online education across African universities in recent years?
Well, the successes milestone is, our approach is deeply rooted in making education inclusive and applicable to African reality. So the success we've done is building local skills, integrating a supportive community. We have an online community, that's really our strength. And we organize what we call, graduation ceremony in various countries. So the building a supportive learning community has been incredibly successful for what we've done, because we've reached, we reach out the unreachable, with our, we in fact, one of the success we have done is we've used what is called COI. COI is a community of inquiry. In the learning theory, the COI has three presences. It has the cognitive presence, it has the social presence, and the teaching presence. Those are the framework we've used to reach our learners in every single country in Africa. So the community presence is, the quizzes the student take online. The social is done by our graduation ceremony and our WhatsApp group. I think that's been one of our success, and the teaching presence is done by our mentors. We have over 100 mentors all over Africa. Just to give you one of the success, we did a survey in January. And the survey in January, when it came out, we were really, so shocked. In our survey, we divided into 3 parts: the economic impact, the non-economic impact, and the multiplying effect impact. The economic impact, our learners reported that 71% have income increase, 71%. And 30%, have a job position increase. And 27% have created a job. And 19% expanded their business, and 5% hired additional people. That's the impact, the economic impact. The non-economic impact, which is really what was mentioned by Charity today, has 2 parts. The first part, self-confident. 83% of our learners in Africa said our courses have increased their self-confidence. They couldn't do things before taking our courses. I mean, that's powerful, and I'm so glad that Charity mentioned it, because this is one of the success we've done. And the second part of the non-economic impact is 54% have confidence from others, respect from others. And the final impact was the multiplying effect impact. We asked them, how many people do you support? They said on an average 7%, 7% on average. That means our courses, the participant not only benefit, but also 7 people, like the household, the community. Those are some of the success we've done in Africa. So in terms of success, definitely we could talk about so many impact and transformation. What is really so impressive in our courses are practical, market-oriented, relevant to the market. Because I asked, when I went to a graduation ceremony, I asked the professor, why are so many professors enrolled in our courses? One professor told me, Siddiqui, your courses are practical, market-oriented, and I want to start a business. That's really what is lacking in many online or education in Africa. It has to be relevant. So in terms of life transformation, there are so many examples I could mention. If you remember, COVID-19 has really changed people's life. Yeah. And what has happened in COVID-19, I mean, if you look at, over 1.6 billion learners were affected during the COVID in 191 countries. But during the COVID, I think Doris has mentioned, maybe Doris, was a beneficiary during the COVID. I could give you one example of life-changing with a young man called Robert from Uganda. Robert was so crushed because the school were closed and starting taking our course in 2020. So Robert, in I went to Uganda for the graduation. Robert was graduated with 14 certificates from us. Wow. And 14 certificates. And what is so amazing with Robert, beyond all this success, had a big problem underneath his life. Okay. Like a low self-esteem. He couldn't speak. He was scared of speech. He was shy. And he couldn't make verbal statement. But after taking our specialization course in entrepreneurship, there's one course called Ethical Leadership Through Giving Voice to Values. Just one course. After taking that course, this young man was able to speak up. It's like he was completely numb. But he used all the tools to get confident and be able. So the transformation is just amazing for what we've done. So wow. That's only one example. I mean, I could give you the problem is if I start talking about success stories, I'll never stop. Because
I understand.
The passion, the joy in my life, seeing these young people life transform and using the leadership and commitment in Africa is amazing. So
thank you, Professor Traore. Let's shift attention slightly to to partnerships and how universities, governments, and private providers have contributed to advancing online education on the continent. Absolutely, we can just hear the testimonies as they keep coming. So, what are the partnerships been able to do in advancing the online education for the continent?
Well, for the partnership, I must confess that, we don't really, in terms of participation, we want to do partnership, but it hasn't, the way our course work, because the Africa Scholarship course is for everyone. It's open to everyone. So, we work with the University of, there is a business school now in Senegal we work with. We offer our courses to the administration, the teachers, the students, and it was a good partnership, because when we organize annual graduation the graduation ceremony, we go to the school and we work together and we share successes. So that has been one of our partnership in Africa.
All right, thank you. So now let me bring in Mr. Brooke Negusi and then Dr. Felicia. They'll be speaking regarding driving institutional adoption of LMS platforms for short courses and capacity building. So to you, Mr. Negusi, what are some of the key factors that are driving the growing adaptation of LMS platforms within African universities and higher education institutions?
Sure. How do I contextualize the overall? That's a far-reaching question. So, and we have different types of universities throughout the continent. We have ones that are early adapters. We have ones that are highly proficient in technology, right? And we have our favorite ones, which are our resistors, right? And I say the favorite ones are the ones that resist it because they end up being the ones that are excellent at adaptation. For some reason, that's just been our our understanding. We've seen the AU eLearn Africa LMS flourish for short courses. But as eLearn Africa LMS, we did a few years ago, we spun off an instructional learning design side to our enterprise. We started building online degrees, as you may know. And so what we saw with that is a quick adaptation to instructional design. So at Jala University in Sierra Leone, the online MBA is a homegrown online MBA, but they had to adapt from one LMS to another LMS. And instructional design from that perspective was interesting. University of Nigeria, again, quick to adapt to online education, understanding of how to use online platforms. And that was a quick adaptation. And they had full knowledge of how to use an LMS. And then we have, the Rhodes universities and so on, Nexus, where they really have embraced online education and understand how to use the LMSs. The outliers are those. Now, the majority are the ones that have learning management systems, and I get shocked often, that are not used. They're used as repositories. So we still have a ways to go, but I would say that there is a quick adaptation for learning management systems. If there's one thing we've seen is that there's been budget allocated to LMSs, and then you'll see some LMSs that are incredible, but again, they're not being utilized for what they should be.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Negusi. Dr. Felicia, how can institutions, leverage LMS platforms to strengthen professional development and deliver impactful short courses to students and staff?
So Philemon, I believe Dr. Felicia had to rejoin. So I think she's just rejoining.
Okay. All right. So Dr. Felicia, welcome back into the meeting. I didn't know you had gone offline briefly, but if you can help us answer this, please. How can institutions leverage LMS platforms to strengthen professional development and deliver impactful short courses to students and staff?
Okay, thank you very much. Apologies, I need to turn off my video. So recording in progress. Stay if you confirm what you
can. Dr. Felicia, we can't hear you clearly. It's not audible enough.
Okay, I'll try again. Hopefully.
Okay, I think it's better now. It's better now, so I think you can go ahead.
Okay, so basically, I would say that we really will make the most of leveraging LMS if we use it as a dynamic tool for professional development. So for staff and faculty, I think that institutions can create internal spaces, sort of academies on the LMS platforms, where new faculty, for instance, can be onboarded with key pedagogy training, where then all staff can be made to take mandatory compliance courses, and also perhaps administrative teams can learn, new skills. So we can imagine the amount of time we would save effectively using the LMS platforms. Because, if new staff come, the onboarding process takes a lot of time. They move around various units, various directorates, having to be trained so that they can then be fully onboarded in terms of the key processes within the institution. So we can effectively leverage LMS platforms for this. So it would practically model digital learning environments, which students use as well. And then for students and external professionals, I think the key power here would lie in micro-credentialing, where instead of taking semester-long courses, we actually bundle short courses, which is what most of the platforms are doing anyway. But we need to look at this more critically and see how we can position it for adoption by key external professionals who, as would have come up through other presenters, are juggling so many things, juggling work, juggling family, especially for women as well. So we need to leverage this more strategically and ensure that the LMS help us to deliver various asynchronous, courses and make it accessible to such working professionals. The impact we've heard from some of these earlier presenters is a lot, but we also have to really master key specific verifiable tenses with digital badges as well, so they can reshare this and get other more people on board, other more people to come and take such courses. Maybe I would like to, hopefully you heard me. Thank you.
Sure. We did. So, Dr. Felicia, let me add this since you are answering that particular question. So, in terms of maintaining high academic quality and relevance, what can be done for the institutions to be able to maintain this?
Okay, I think you would agree with me that in terms of quality, it doesn't only rest with us being able to provide the platform. We need to have, go beyond just having the platforms in place. We need to really invest in so many ways, and we need to have oversight and always have quality at the back of our minds as we go through intentional instructional design. So I would like to mention rigorous course development, where we don't just put the notes online, but involve key instructional designers capacity who have skills in this space to help structure the content using key models out there which have proven time over time to be able to foster things, to be able to foster aspects related to quality. We need to ensure that learning objectives are clear and the contents are quite effective. And the learning should also not be passive. We should promote more of active learning, making sure that quality is embedded throughout the various interactive elements, making sure that there are discussion forums which allows even peer review. So your other colleagues will be peer reviewing assignments and making sure they are commenting and contributing to whatever it is you would have posted on the platform. And then automated quizzes also for knowledge checks. We want to be sure that even the responses being provided are authentic. There are ways where we need to, we can also build in project-based assessment so that students are not necessarily picking everything off the internet and, you know, providing answers without necessarily knowing how this applies in the real world situation. So project-based assessment, I think, is also a key way to go. And then we can also incorporate key advisory panels, say industry group from industry who we engage in program development and who can help in reviewing some of the short professional courses to ensure that it's really reflecting the needs of the industry. So these advisory panels, we can engage them from time to time to review our program and to help provide, to vet the curriculum generally, and to ensure that the various methodologies and tools we are leveraging is also helping in terms of building soft skills. And we are not working in silo, but whatever it is we are providing is actually in demand and would be usable or would be required by industry. So those are some ways that I think we can help in terms of ensuring quality, also ensuring that, of course, our programs are accredited as much as possible, and building strong feedback circles into our processes where we are ensuring that we are regularly building and improving on, you know, how we started our programs. Whatever programs we structured today, I think we should regularly update it, reflect it. I shouldn't come back in 10 years to take the course and it's actually the same thing word for word and nothing has changed. That means we haven't built in a feedback loop and we really aren't improving. So those are some practical ways that I think we need to ensure that quality is built in. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Felicia. Let me come back to you, Brooke. Let's talk a little bit about leadership and policy. So what leadership and policy actions do you think are needed to ensure that LMS adoption becomes an institutional priority rather than a standalone ICT initiative?
That's a great question. Leadership is absolutely paramount. So what we've seen is when the leadership at universities have embraced online learning, we find that it is much easier to work with the staff because they've actually taken the time to do orientations on campus, to have discussions on what programs they would want to digitize. They have had an inclusive dialogue with their IT department, and I've actually brought their IT department and their professors in one room to set out a course of action. What typically happens is that does not work like that, especially during COVID. Well, one of the things that we realized were that most of the time IT and administration never really spoke. And it was somewhat a bridge that had to happen. And I think COVID really did that for our universities in the continent. But no, leadership is paramount. In order for universities in the continent to adapt online education, and it's to be very frank, it's we're adapting, but I don't think we're adapting quick enough. And the quicker we adapt to online education, I think the better off we are, because right now we're dealing with graduate studies, specialized certificate programs, but we're also leaving, you know, large number of students in undergraduate where they don't have enough seats at universities, right, that need to be served. We have a great opportunity to service the K-12 market, right? And as educators, maybe that's something we can focus in on because we have a lot of students that drop out to help family, right? So distance education, online education basically gets that to be a bridge that gets them into an undergraduate program. And this all stems to, and I will say it, always from leadership universities. If they show by example at universities how well this works, the trickle-down effect is just enormous for the continent. But at the same time, we have another perspective, which is ministries are always looking at what's going on as well. And so if ministries of education are seeing the success, and we see this in Sierra Leone, right? When they see success, you want to build on success, right? So leadership is absolutely paramount.
Thank you very much, Mr. Negusi. Let me come back to you, Professor Bukasa. You made a great submission in your introduction. So let me find out this from you. In your own view, what factors have enabled some institutions to succeed in integrating distance education more effectively than others? Prof, you are muted. Kindly unmute and speak, please.
Yeah. One thing that I've always suggested, I met with some university administrators, and one proposal I made was to mainstream into their curriculum program distance education. And I came up with a project that I called the Schools on Air project that would enable students in a class to listen to lectures coming through radio or coming through the internet. I'm a product of that when I was in high school in our English literature. We listened to Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet and Julius Caesar, all of that, through radio. And that was very effective. Now, where that has happened, it has been a success because it supplements, it complements the instruction that is given in the classroom. And one of the proposals I made in my initial remarks was to find out where distance education has been successful. If it has been successful, how did they make it successful? That's a subject for research. I'm not sure that anybody has undertaken that kind of a research to be able to come up with success cases. I can mention State University of Puntland in Somalia. Okay. They achieved a measure of success. Why? Because I was able to write a grant application from UNESCO to get them what I call the community radio. And through that community radio, students in the classroom were able to broadcast to local communities and local farmers practical knowledge about how to improve their farming methods. Now, that was quite a number of years ago. But your question really is the question that I'm very interested in to do research. Maybe universities, maybe the AAU, maybe other entities can engage in some research to find out where has this been a success and how has it been a success. That is what I can say at this point.
All right. Thank you. So let me shift into technology still with you, Professor Bukasa. Okay, I just want your opinion on this. How has technology, particularly learning management systems, digital tools, AI, okay, how have they reshaped teaching, learning, and student engagement?
Oh, they have been a very useful tool, extremely useful tool. They make teaching more efficient. I teach an in-person course here in Pennsylvania. My students come to class either with their mobile phones or with their laptops. And when I can ask the students, when I talk to the students, for example, I can tell them, well, why don't you Google to get more information? Just to give you an example, the other day, I was teaching students how to report news. And I said, you must use simple English because the majority of the population in the United States has not gone beyond high school. Then I said, if you don't believe me, why don't you put that question, just Google and find out. And students were able to get, in other words, they can fact check you. And I encourage that. We live in an age of dialogue. We live in an age of participatory education. And not the instructor does not have all the knowledge. There is what is known as an andragogy. An andragogy is a teaching strategy that assumes that the students come with their own skills, their own experiences. And those can be shared. So LMS, decent education, can contribute a lot towards that. And I've discovered that with my own students. I noticed that some students really had some skills that they were able to share with other students. Thanks to decent education, because you are able to source skills from all over the world. One of the objectives of my Schools on the Air project was a school in Botswana, for example, learning about African history, can get lectures from a professor in Nigeria who can elaborate on some aspects of African history. This cross interaction is one of the strengths of the of distance learning, distance education and learning.
All right. Thank you again, Professor Mukasa. Let me turn my attention now to Professor Traore. Prof, how can institutions better support educators and course designers to create engaging, student-centered online learning experience? Prof, I think that you are muted. Kindly unmute, please.
Yeah. No, that's a great question. I think from our experience, the advice, I mentioned the online, creating the online community, which is really a key for the success. If they could create the online community where learners could meet, share ideas, seek mentorship, I think that would be one of the greatest way to strengthen, online. That has been really our success because we believe that, online community, a supportive online community is critical because it has been effective for us in really enhancing the motivation of our students. It has also improved our retention. It has also been able to create a network of support among educators in Africa, all over Africa. I think that's one of the thing which is lacking in many institutions. If you do that, you could be successful. At least it has been very successful for us.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So earlier you have mentioned a lot of success stories and all of the wonderful things you and your team have done. We have heard testimonies from some of the people who went through your system. But regardless, distance education in Africa still faces some challenges. What would you consider the most pressing issues? Would it be connectivity, infrastructure, quality assurance, policy alignment? Which one of this?
So some of the challenge, I wouldn't, I think one of the biggest challenge is, the vision, the willingness, I think Brooke has mentioned it, if the institution leader are willing to embrace, technology, they could, overcome lots of challenges, because saying that, connectivity nowadays, when we started, people have, it was terrible. The connection was terrible. And people, I remember doing some of our live courses, in Central Africa, they disappeared because the connection was bad. But the connections has improved. And now in terms of equipment, more people are getting equipment. So, of course, they still, the challenge is internet connection, like good connection. I mean, it's if you could improve your internet connection. But nowadays, with 200 Kenya shilling, $2, you could just buy a bundle and connect to our courses and get access to, things. So I don't think, that's a big thing. For me, there are challenges, yes, but it's being improved. It's just a question of the leadership. How do I, overcome these challenges? There are ways of doing it. You could do it gradually, or you could do it in a faster way, to overcome some of the challenges.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. Let me come back to you, Mr. Brooke Negusi. Again, on partnerships, how can collaborative partnerships such as the AAU, eLearn Africa, LMS support universities in overcoming barriers like cost, infrastructure, and technical expertise?
Phil, great question. So through our journey, what we realized was a lot of universities wanted to go online, but did not have the budget to go online. And when I say online is, there's a couple parts here. So, and I see some very good friends that are also part of the audience here. The initial part is learning management system, right? And the second part about it is instructional design, right? And instructional design is where we take your content or we work with you to build content. And the third part is delivery. So when it comes to learning management systems, we designed the AAU eLearn Africa LMS to fill a demand during COVID. and I think there's 120 or 147 institutions that use it or have used it since inception. Through that, what we realized was a lot of universities wanted to build online degrees. To build an online degree, you need subject matter experts, you need instructional designers, you need quality assurance. There's a good layer to it. So what we decided to do after speaking with the fourth or fifth universities was, how do we finance this for the universities and take away the financial burden? So, and so out of eLearn Africa LMS was born eLearn LXD. And so through the partnership of the AU eLearn Africa LMS, we created our own instructional design house where we're able to build an online degree from scratch and launch it with universities and work with them in true partnership. And we say in true partnership is there's somewhere where you're constantly working on refining content, and there's some where you're hand-holding from development to launch to post-launch to helping universities understand the metrics as well from the LMS. So a successful program here has been where we've started with a university from AU Learn Africa LMS. This is the University of Nigeria of Nsukka as an example, where we partnered with them to build an online degree, where we launched the online degree, which is the Master's in Public Administration, fully online degree, where we're also helping in the background right now on anything from student intake, future student assessments. So we're constantly learning from our partners as well. But the financing part is the big part.
Absolutely. Again, to you, Brooke, in what ways can universities use LMS data and analytics to inform teaching practices, monitor learner engagement, and improve decision making?
So, wow, we could spend hours talking about that. I won't do that to anybody on this on this platform. I'll take the highlight of it. How about that? I think the highlight of it is, if you look at how you can use an LMS to enhance, because I'm a big proponent of the technology of learning management systems. What they really enhance is student and professor time, and people will say it's not enough time, or that there's this discord that happens when you're online. If the university uses it properly, what we see is a high engagement from the student. You see a high return on investment for the university, meaning that they're getting completion rates, but they have the analytics. So now I know if, two of my students are excelling, but one is not. I get that as a report. I know when you've submitted your assignments, when you've not submitted your assignments, your attendance. So, and the next question usually that follows this is, how does this work in Africa with connectivity and infrastructure issues? Well, our connectivity is not as bad as people think, right? Is my first question answer. The second part is, even when it is bad, it's fine, because all of these programs are available offline. So the students are able to do the work offline. So no, I think overall, student learning is enhanced, professor interaction is enhanced. I think it streamlines so that they can be creative on what they can offer the students.
So building up on that, Brooke, how can African universities design LMS-based programs that foster continuous learning and professional advancement for diverse audiences, including working professionals?
Well, it depends on the universities, and I think we have to do a lot better as AU Learn Africa LMS to have more workshops. And I'm being self-critical on that one, but we need to educate our educators on how to do this. It's not you see, the big misconception generally happens is that you license a learning management system, you upload your courses, you upload some videos, and you say, go at it, right? That is not a way to succeed. That's a way to bore your students. There's an art to it. There's a design aspect to building a successful online degree. It takes us over a year to build an online degree, right? And that's because it has to be designed where it flows, where the student is gamified so that they're interactive with what they're reading, where drop-down questions come up when you've done an assignment, a constant assessment throughout the whole process, right? No, I think we need to do a better job in doing workshops so that we can actually have a real discussion about what instructional design entails. Right. So the benefit that we have is we have a team that are veterans of online education, on average of 15 to 20 years. And that's why we're able to bring, what we've done is basically we want to compete with Western universities in the continent. And I don't think there's much competition. Look at the Rhodes Online MBA. It's a hybrid MBA, AMBA accredited, top 2% in the world. But I look at the quality of that, and even if we had to basically break it down to even visually break it down, right? The aesthetics are the same, but the quality is more relevant for our continent, right? And when I look at the MPA UNN, I constantly have to stop reading it because I find myself immersed in it. Same thing in Jala. So we're definitely at that point where I think we need to do more workshops and collaboration.
Okay, all right, thank you. Dr. Felicia, kindly help us understand this. What role do faculty and administrative staff play in ensuring the success of LMS-based learning environment, and how can institutions enhance their readiness?
Okay, thank you. I think that for the linchpin, they are really the key drivers in terms of the effectiveness of the adoption of the various LMS platforms. For faculty, some of the members from faculty are those who would be the content experts. Some of them are also the ones who would serve as the facilitators. Whilst perhaps for the admin staff, they can come on board in terms of helping with marketing of the courses, advertising of the courses, helping with students enrollment, and generally helping in terms of sending communication information out there, helping with documenting key successes and so many other things that they really would bring on board. And we want to say that to help in terms of enhancing readiness, institutions would have to provide support also for faculty and staff. We need to help them in terms of, as Brooke just said, offering some hands-on workshop to help sharpen their skills to enable them be able to provide the most of the support that we expect from them. So perhaps for faculty, can we consider providing course design incubators where they can work with the instructional designers over a period of time to build high quality courses, because they know the courses, but sometimes they may not be so on top in terms of packaging it for an LMS platform. Mind you, there are some specific requirements which goes into that. So they may need support in terms of us institutions, providing some short-term courses for them. For the administrative staff as well, we may have to support in terms of helping them with some key skills, which can help them track perhaps dropout rates, which can help them identify struggling learners, which can help them provide a smooth user experience for registration all the way to certification. But this also means that as we develop the programs, we need to be wary, or we need to have at the back of our minds issues like students possibly dropping out midway, and therefore put in place strategies to ensure that completion rates are increased and we have more students who start the program completing. But basically for all of them, we need to ensure that we have established a dedicated, easily accessible sort of support hub, and we are able to provide the necessary support in terms of troubleshooting, in terms of regularly engaging the admins and the support staff to get to know what their key issues are, what challenges are coming up, and then how we can help them overcome some of these challenges.
Right, thank you so much. Let's shift slightly into skill sets. How can LMS-driven short courses help bridge skills gap between academia and industry? Especially in the fields of or in fields such as business, governance, and technology.
Okay, I would like to say that perhaps LMS-driven short courses are our most powerful tool in terms of bridging this gap because of their agility. They can help create this in terms of speed to market, in that sometimes it's quite difficult, for a university to spin up a new 4-year degree quickly. But we can do that, right? We having been expert in the field, can be able to pull out the cracks of a particular course, which probably would have been taken over a whole semester, and break it down into little, portions. For instance, portions like someone can only be interested in AI ethics for policymakers, but perhaps in the traditional university system, a program like that would be a whole semester's course. But we, via the various platforms, LMS platforms, can break this into specific components, which is just straight to the point in terms of what a policymaker needs. And then also in terms of engagement with industry, we can also look at co-creation of the courses where we invite practitioners to co-teach some of the models or to serve as experts, guest experts in some of the discussion forums, where then students are learning as they engage with such discussion forums, as they also comment and as they go and read what has been posted over time. Then again, another key highlight for learning through the LMS platforms relates to the focus on applied skills. We've had some very good successes, especially I noted that for Robert from Uganda, who was now able to overcome, his shyness, his inability to speak up, his, lack of confidence. So we can come up with programs that really helps in terms of applied skills in fields like governance, in technology, in businesses, where we can create various case studies, various simulation-based projects that help students to directly transform what would have been a theoretical knowledge, but now to a demonstrable skill which they can apply on a day-to-day basis. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Felicia. Professor Mukasa, we are almost wrapping up on this session. So from a policy standpoint, what kind of regulatory or accreditation frameworks do you think are needed to strengthen the credibility of online degrees in Africa? Prof, you are muted. Kindly unmute, please.
Some proposals to that effect in terms of how credible can all of these training programs be. And I said we need a regional accrediting agency that will go over and beyond individual institutions. And I believe the AAU was working towards that goal of quality assurance, what they call quality assurance. And I think that is the way to go. In the case of Zimbabwe, there are so many private colleges that were closed because they were not offering credible education. And this is really a big challenge for Africa. So many of these educational institutions are just mushrooming. And what is needed is an accrediting agency. Now, there are some people who said, well, we can get accredited from overseas. My answer is no. Africa has the capacity, the intellectual capacity to accredit itself. You don't have to go abroad. So that's my answer. Let's coalesce around regional and continental accrediting agencies or quality assurance programs.
Thank you very much, Professor Mukasa. Very, very insightful and interesting to hear that Africa has the capacity. Professor Traore, help me with this, given all of the things you have done so far. I would love to so much hear what your vision for the future of online and distance education in Africa is, and what steps you think institutions must take to make that vision a reality. Professor Traore, please, you are muted. Kindly unmute, please.
Okay. This is a great question. Thank you so much for asking that. My vision for institution is, to really continue spreading this decent education, reaching the unreachable, because if distance education could solve some of the problem in Africa, like unemployment, for instance, I take the case of Kenya. In Kenya, 1 million students enter the workforce every year, 1 million, but only 1/5 get a formal job. So what do you do with all those people? So are we creating, people who are unemployed and stay there? And then what happened in Kenya, and also 1 million go abroad? So if we could use decent education to address some of this pressing, situation, to solve unemployment, youth unemployment, that I think that would be an incredible success, because our students are now leaders. We are turning our students to leaders, educators, and community and really change agents. We've seen it over, So if we could take some of the people who have been successful in implementing innovation in Africa, I think that would be one of the greatest things. In Botswana, I have this lady, her name is Pearl. If you go online, LinkedIn, you'll see there. She's a very talented lady and took so many courses. Now she is from the a manager of just customer, and now she is the innovation specialist because of all the courses she took, and she is so involved. So if we could find so many people like her to be a role model in Africa for change, I think that's my vision. If distance education could solve some of our present problems, I think that would be incredible.
Thank you so much, Professor Traore. Mr. Negusi, would you want to give a final touch to that question before I give you your main question to end this?
I appreciate the opportunity. So, look, I think this is where we're building online courses right now that are one-offs, that are specific for jobs. I believe now is the initial one that we'll be launching in March is a 3D PC, is the printing of homes, right? So that's through the collaboration of AU Learn Africa LMS. It's one of one. It teaches everything from project management, but to build a home using a 3D printer. And this is new technology for even the US that we have been able to build a course, the first course, by the way. And so it's a one of one globally. So, and then I look at programs like radiology and AI, right? Which is another program we're building on the AU Learn Africa LMS. But look, we're getting to that point right now where we're understanding what the needs are, right? And in order to understand the needs from our universities or our constituents, we've had to listen as opposed to tell them what they need, right? And I think that's where the collaboration is really now just starting as in our team, we say it's starting to gel. You're starting to see how online education is no longer suspicious. Everybody understands that it's here to stay. It's only going to grow. And then if you throw the names of these wonderful universities that have built online degrees or certificates with the collaboration of AU Learn Africa LMS and the continent, so the credibility factor is gone. I mean, we're flying credibly. We just need to as Professor Traore said, is we need to be able to create content that actually has an effective position to get people jobs. So, and qualifications. And I think this is where short courses are going to move forward with our African universities. And we'll see it serve more and more at the ministries coming soon.
Thank you so much. So to finally end this session, what do you think universities, or how can universities balance global standards and the local context when designing LMS-based courses that meet African learners' unique needs?
Well, that's a great question. I think we've demonstrated how we do that. I'm very proud of our university. So I'm going to say that we've gone through a learning curve, and our professors have taught us a lot as well. But if you do an online course with, say, Jala University in Nigeria, or even Rhodes perspective, from the quality perspective, you're neck to neck, right, with the Western universities. But I think the X factor is when it's localized, right? So it's something now that, Philemon, it's something that you can relate to in West Africa because it's using West African realities. So you don't have to go out the examples of, what did Johnny do in Pennsylvania to, right? So you can look at it and say, okay, I can understand what Freetown or Bow campus would look like in Sierra Leone, right? But there's familiarity. So I think that is probably our X factor on top of designing is localization, because it's a local degree. We're not importing in anything. And I think that's where, we started with the importing of how to do this, but over the last 3.5 years, we've been really building within, and we're seeing it flourish. So no, I hope I wasn't too long-winded with my answer.
It's fine. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your submission. I want to thank all of you, Professor Mukasa, Professor Traore, Dr. Felicia Kwagbeji Nkrumah, Nkrumah Kwagbeji, rather, Mr. Brooke Negusi. Thank you so much for this session. This is the time to take questions. So if anybody has questions to ask for this very session, this is the time to do that. Otherwise, we'll move on to the very final session for today. So if you have any questions, please, this is the time to do that. Those of you who might not want to ask, you can put it in the chat and we'll read them. Maybe your current positioning is not allowing you to speak, so we can do that. If you have any questions on this panel discussion so far, we've done a little over an hour here. I believe we have heard a lot of things and we have some takeaways. So if you have questions, this is the time, please. Okay, I can safely assume that we can move on to our next session. Or better still, I know some of you have asked for emails from Professor Mukasa, Professor Traore, and Orlando Franco, so probably you might send your questions to them. So that's fine. I'll move on to the next session, which is a presentation by Professor Rosemond Bohene, the immediate past Vice Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, UCC, and she will be presenting on sustainability and partnerships, financing and collaborating for scalable online education. Okay, apologies for that interruption. So, Professor Rosemond Bohene, thank you for joining us, and you have the floor, please.
Okay, so thank you very much and good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'll try and share my screen. I don't know if you can see my screen.
Yes,
So
it's visible.
yes, unfortunately, my background is dark because since morning, I think they are doing some maintenance, so electricity is off. I'll share my thoughts because whatever I'm going to present, I realize that during the panel discussion, I've been following the discussions, and every now and then, some of the things I wanted to share will come on board. But so I'll try as much as possible to be brief so that the rest will use for discussions and sharing experiences. So you all agree with me that now online education has come to bridge the gap in terms of the fact that now we have the demand for lifelong learning. There is rising cost, especially when it comes to our traditional education. They need fees structures, fees programs. They need faculty. You have to pay them. You have to pay overhead. And also because of technological transformation, people will want to always develop their skills so that they will be able to fit into the world of work and the world of productivity. And therefore, online education has come to bridge that gap, giving people access at their own pace and at their own time. But then, how do we scale it? Because we have to scale this online education effectively and sustainably. And that is why going it alone may not work, because if you do online and you want to scale it and you want to make it sustainable, I don't think, especially if you pick institutions in our part of the world, it will be very, very difficult for them to do that, because if you've had the opportunity to create online content, you know that it is time consuming, it is expensive, you need robust technological infrastructure, and it requires constant investment, maintenance, you need expertise. And within, we've been talking about LMS, you need online student support. And we also need to make sure that we promote credentialing and employability. And also, finally, when we are looking at the financing models, sometimes they are not reliant or they are unstable. So this shows that yes, online education is one of the ways to go, but it is not as easy as that. You can't go it alone, and that is why we look at the partnership ecosystem. So the partnership ecosystem simply allows various institutions to leverage on the complementary strengths of each other. And therefore, you can have this educational institution hub, which you can bring industry and employers together. You can bring educational technology companies. You can bring other academic institutions. And sometimes you can even bring government and NGOs on board. So, for instance, you look at the universities, the regulators, you look at faculty, you look at learners, and the outcome is that you want to have a shared responsibility, and also there should be co-creation, because remember we said, yes, online is good, but going it alone is not easy. No one institution can do it alone. So what are some of the benefits? Of course, we said it reduces duplication, it enables innovation, and also it promotes long-term value creation. So it means when we are scaling up and when it comes to upgrades, because you are not doing it alone and you are doing it with other partners who are experts or who are skilled in that area, it is very easy for you to do that. So we have various models of the partnership. When I was listening to the discussions, I picked snippets of them here and there. You can have university and industry. You can even have a university. You can even have a public-private partnership, regional networks, or edtech alliances. Or sometimes you can even have a university with industry, with another regional network, or with edtech coming together to make sure that they provide these online educational tools. And from our discussions, we've given various examples. Here we have the University of London and Coursera. We have UNISA and African Virtual University. You have the MIT Open Courseware, where they allow students and faculty to access their materials online. And my university, we are also working with ed partners from South Africa, where we are trying to develop programs together. So what we are doing is that initially we wanted to pick some of the programs from within the university, but we had a backlash from some of the faculties and departments. They are saying that if their programs go online, it means that they are not going to have courses to teach in the regular stream. So what we've done is that we've identified various programs and we are co-developing the programs with them. They have the LMS, they have the skills, they have, so our faculty will be doing the teaching, my university will be awarding the certificate, and they will be providing that support. So that at the end of the day, the revenue model, we are still talking about how we are going to share the revenue from such a program. And remember, I've told you, why university cannot do it alone, and therefore you need to bring on board partners to be able to do that. And therefore, when you are looking at the financing, maybe you may not look at only tuition grants and only sponsorship. Sometimes you may also bring the government on board. That was last year, for instance. My government wanted to, though my university, we have distance education where we do face-to-face. We are also now moving online, where we are recording some of the lectures, we are recording some of the videos, and the government is coming in to help. And when you are able to do that, you are able to expand. So you can be able to reach a lot of students at a particular point in time, because everything is online. Then, of course, you can look at micro-credentialing and also subscription models. Now, what we are doing as part of our collaboration is that we are trying to reach out to our accreditation agency to see how we can harmonize, because, of course, if we are partnering with an institution outside Ghana, the accreditation agency will have to also look at the things we are going to do. So we are trying to see if we can harmonize with our accreditation agency, so that at the end of the day, we don't award certificates and accreditation agency will say, this partnership we don't know, and therefore we are not going to accept those certificates. Then also we look at how you look at learner analytics, feedback loops, ethical AI and data policies. Because, for instance, if people are learning online, you have their data, you have their information, how do you manage the data? How do they get access to any information they need as part of their collaboration? And these are some of the things you have to look at. So yes, partnership is very, very important, because remember, we say it brings about complementary skills, institution complementing each other to be able to make sure that people have access to education, there is diversity, there is inclusion. But at the end of the day, you realize that when partners are coming together, sometimes they may be unequal when it comes to the digital infrastructure. So how do they come together, sit down and see how they can help each other out? Secondly, sometimes there may also be partner misalignment. Yes, you want to partner with an institution, but maybe the way you do your things or the type of institution may not also work with whatever the partner is bringing along. Then sometimes there may be quality dilution, and also how to sustain whatever partnership in terms of the programs we are offering online. So how do you overcome some of these challenges? There should be clear governance and agreements. So, for instance, the example I gave of my university, we've signed the first initial MOU, and when we finish developing the programs, we have decided that now we'll have an MOA, a memorandum of an agreement, that shows what specifically is expected from each of the partners and how we are going to share the revenue. And what we are also doing is that, yes, we want faculty to come on board, but it is not all of them who have that capacity when it comes to online learning. in terms of instructional design, in terms of how to give feedback to students, in terms of how to even do assessment online. For instance, I have the opportunity of facilitating a course in Germany, and I do it online from Ghana for first years. And when I finish, and they write exams online, and I'm even able to mark online. There is an online assessment tool. I mark online, and if students want any feedback, I'm able to reach out to them also online. It's because they have the resources to be able to build that digital infrastructure. So we also need to build the capacity. And what they've been doing for my university is that once in a while they organize training programs. We send lecturers there for them to build their capacity. Then also there is the need for community engagement. And in all these, when you've built the partnership and you are sharing ideas, you are sharing resources, at the end of the day, you have to measure success in terms of whether there is growth in enrollment, whether you've been able to reduce cost per learner. You are looking at completion and employability, like some of the examples people gave and some of the testimonies people gave. And at the end of the day, you want to see whether each partner is satisfied with each other. That is very, very important. But now there are emerging trends. Like I said, all these things have been mentioned in the previous discussions. Now we have micro-credentialing. Now there is even AI-driven personalization. So people are developing programs. You want information, you can just go online, and AI has been developed so the AI can even answer the questions of the students, give the student feedback, and so on and so forth. Because remember, if for instance it is an online program and you have about 1,000 students from all over the world taking the program, I don't think you can have faculty responding to everybody's queries. Then we are also looking at the cloud ecosystem and also looking at green digital campuses. So these are the emerging trends that are coming. But what is the future outlook? Like is it Stanley said, you can't have 100% online, especially in our part of the world because of the location. Some are in rural areas. Yes, internet connectivity is okay, but it is not too good. So we have the hybrid, that's both online and face-to-face. Then we are also looking at North-South-South cooperation. Previously, we were looking at North-South cooperations, and it was like we are looking at people from the North and those of the South, always we are looking at them. Now, we want the collaboration to look at how do we create win-win situation amongst the partners. So we can look at North-South, and we can add another South institution as part of the collaboration. Then we also have to look at policy harmonization. I don't know if AAU is working on that or the African Union is working on that. Then we have to also look at education as a service model. Education as a service model. So the policy implications are there is a need for our government or our institutions to provide incentives, especially for various organizations to partner. We have to look at accreditation. And when we are looking at the digital infrastructure, there is a need for us to prioritize sustainable digital infrastructure that uses renewable energy. So my closing thoughts are, when we are looking at sustainability for our online education, we should look at it in terms of the systems thinking perspective, all the subsystems coming together. We look at partnership as growth engines. We have to look at shared governance, because remember, if it is online, we still want to maintain the quality. Here we call it the parity of esteem. So when I take a program online or I take a program face-to-face, the quality should be the same. There should not be a difference between the quality in terms of what is organized, regular or face-to-face, and what is taken online. So there should be a shared governance for quality. Then we should also look at inclusion. Someone mentioned people who are physically challenged, who are visually impaired, people who are hearing impaired. How do we make sure that all the infrastructure that we are putting in place give people with now they say we shouldn't call them these people with disability, people with special needs. How do we take them into consideration so that at the end of the day we look at inclusion, we look at access to people who are underserved and people who have low income. It is very, very important we look at that. So at the end of the day, what I want to say is that yes, online education is very good, but in our part of the world, or usually institutions cannot do it alone. There is a need for them to collaborate with partners to be able to do that so that they complement each other in terms of skills, in terms of expertise, in terms of capital, in terms of infrastructure. And at the end of the day, we make sure that we are able to give each and every person an equal access to education. So these are my thoughts. Remember, I've indicated that most of the things have been discussed already, so I don't want to just belabor the point, but these are my thoughts on collaboration when it comes to online education. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Bohene. That was very quick and precise, straight to the point. Thank you so much. This is the end of Professor Bohene's presentation. And this is the time where we take questions and then she will gladly answer on this very presentation on sustainability and partnerships, financing and collaborating for scalable online education. Please, do we have any questions? You can kindly unmute.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, Professor Mukasa, go ahead.
Can she identify successful cases of collaboration among universities? Do you know of any?
Yes, there are quite a number of them. For instance, someone mentioned University of Virginia. And for instance, I've also, I'm working on a project. We are working with the University of Applied Sciences in Germany. That's the Bonn-Rhein-Sieg University of Applied Sciences. We have collaborated with them for the past 12 years. And so it's been quite a success. And so we are collaborating with them on various, so as the years go by, we add more universities. I remember when we started our collaboration, what we did was, it was us and them. Then later we added the University of Nairobi, and now we have even added other institutions. So we even have summer schools where the students are taught online using a learning management system. And sometimes we can have students from as many as 10, 15 countries participating in that. So we've been working with that university on that. And I believe Coursera has been partnering with a lot of universities, and I think it's also been working very well.
Does such collaboration involve lecturers from one university teaching courses at other universities through distance education?
Yes. So I remember I gave myself as an example. I've been teaching for that university since, actually I was there face to face. Then after the COVID, I've been teaching online. And every year I teach first years a course in human resource management. And I've been teaching online since. And I use that university's online management system. I teach students through the system. I assess them through the system. I interact with them through the system. And I don't do it alone. I have another colleague who also teaches another course for that same university. So yes, we've been doing that.
Is this number growing? Are more lecturers engaging in this, especially among African universities?
Well, I can't give that figure. I don't have statistics for that. Fortunately, I'm also part of a program from Ashasi University. They call the Education Collaborative, and that is what they are also championing. So what they've started is they are now encouraging lecturers to visit universities who are partners of the Education Collaborative to see the things the others are doing. So it is not only lecturers, they are even sending administrators. So if it is online management system, it is research, they are going to learn from them from African countries. Then they come back into their universities to apply whatever they've learned, if it is something that is worth implementing within their universities.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Matas. Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, I have a question for Madam.
Yeah.
Yes, that was a very nice presentation. But yes, over the years, distance education has really suffered the issues of credibility and perception when it comes to its comparison with the face-to-face mode of transmission of what we do. Distance education seems to be considered inferior to that of the traditional face-to-face kind of delivery. At your end, how have you been able to manage this perception and credibility issues over the years? And has it really affected your admission of your students in some of the courses?
Well, from our university, it has not really affected the admission because remember when I was doing the presentation, I mentioned the fact that we are looking at parity of esteem. So what we are doing, working very hard, I'm not saying we are 100%, is to make sure that whatever the regular face-to-face students go through, our distance education students also go through. Because remember, when we are giving them the certificate, for instance, if it is BSc marketing, face-to-face it is the same BSc marketing, and online it is the same BSc marketing. We don't write online on the certificate. So what we've done is that day in and day out, we find ways of making sure that whatever we are giving the face-to-face students, it is the same thing we give the online students. And our National Accreditation Board, now they are on all institutions who run both regular face-to-face or distance education programs to make sure that the quality is the same. So yes, we try as much as possible to do that, but you see there is that perception that still people who do face-to-face, the quality is higher than people who do online. I think we are working very, very hard to demystify that myth that it is the same because they get the same certificate from the institution. Whether it is face-to-face, it is online. If it is BSc marketing, it is BSc marketing, and we don't write online or face-to-face on the certificate.
Well, that's okay, but I'm taking this from the KNUST mode of courses they run, because I listened to you and you made the case that because of some of your faculty members, programs that you want to enroll onto the distance program, they are really fighting against it, for which reason you want to for programs that uniquely align with the distance education, where you are looking at some of the programs that are outside your university. When it happens that way, I mean, those are specific programs that would align to the distance education. So even if you award the person a certificate where there is nothing indicating that it is a distance program, provided they know that this program is strictly aligned to the distance mode, don't you think that it will still be leading to that angle where students would have that issue with the perception when it comes to the credibility issue? So that we don't really have, because KNUST, I know they have suffered this thing. They had one program which was strictly labeled as a distance program. And as I'm speaking, I know it has collapsed because they ended up not getting the numbers again.
Okay.
So
the example I gave, you know, the university runs distance programs, UCC. So the distance program we run, it is the same programs we run face to face. The example I gave was we had a group from South Africa. They call them Higher Ed South Africa. They wanted to collaborate with us, and they wanted to run the traditional programs that are run on distance. And that is where we had the lecturers complaining. So what we've done with them is that we are developing new programs that will go through the same accreditation, but those programs will be run online. So our distance education programs and our regular programs, we have them, and that we are running on distance basis. Whatever we are going to do with the group from South Africa, they are new programs altogether. So, and those programs, we even don't run them on the university campus. So that is not going to affect the already existing distance programs we have. And remember, you know, we have our College of Distance Education. And so our College of Distance Education runs our regular programs by distance, and some of them online. So that one is separate from what we are now doing with these people from South Africa who are going to run an online program. So what we've done is we are now developing the programs. We are taking them through accreditation, and there will be different fresh programs altogether. So we are not running our old programs with them, because remember we said we were going to run some of our old programs and the lecturers were complaining. So our old programs that are run on distance basis by our College of Distance Education will be working. But these are new programs we are going to develop and run with these partners from South Africa. And with these programs, you know, our distance education programs, it is mainly within Ghana. And what we are doing, the new programs we are going to develop, we are developing with these partners from South Africa. We are going to run it to anybody, to any part of the world. And so that is different. This one is not going to affect our already existing distance programs that are being run by our College of Distance Education.
Thank you, Professor Abohene. Timothy, please, which institution are you with, if I may ask? Hello, Timothy King. Can you hear me? Okay, it doesn't look like he can hear me. Anyway, Professor Abohene, thank you. Do we have any more questions? We can allow 2 minutes for questions if there are still some questions. Just 2 more minutes, please. Any more questions on the presentation from Professor Abohene? Okay. All right. I'll safely assume we don't have any more questions. So what I'd love to do now is to allow 1 minute each for all of our facilitators to give us their final takeaways from this summit that we have had for a little almost 3 hours now. So let me begin with you, Professor Mukasa. 1 minute, please. Your final takeaway from the session. Professor Mukasa, sorry, you are muted. Kindly unmute.
I said I was very impressed by the consensus that distance education is now part and parcel of education in Africa. And the undercurrent of that recognition is the fact that, as people in East Africa say in Swahili, elimu haina mwisho. That means education does not end. So it's a continuing educational process. And I also appreciated the issues of partnerships, sustainability, innovation, and quality, assessments as essential components in future directions for distance education in Africa. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Professor Mukasa. Thank you so much. Professor Traore, please, 1 minute.
Well, one thing I'm so impressed with this discussion is, I could see that, universities and professors are embracing technology and online, which is a big change. When we started in 2010 in Kenya, I remember I went to Kenyatta University, and the English department, they didn't really, in 2010, they didn't know how to use the, platform, Blackboard. We had Blackboard at that time. And I told them, you don't need to go to Nakuru to teach your English. Just sit in your room. We'll give you the platform, and you could just teach. But they said, Siddiqui, we don't know how to do it. So we trained the lecturer for the English department of Kenyatta University about 2010, 2011, and some other universities. So, and some universities were reluctant. Some teachers said, "No, you bring in something because if we travel, we won't get the benefit." So, there is a big change in the attitude of universities and people now toward distance education. That's really incredible for me, and embracing technology is the way to go. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Traore. Mr. Brooke Negusi, your final takeaway, please, 1 minute.
Sure. I think by just seeing the participation of this conference and just the presentations and where we are today versus where we were even 2 years ago, and what we're discussing have advanced rapidly. I think where I'm enjoying seeing the conversation is where professors are embracing it, but I'm also enjoying the fact that we're looking at our own content. And the fact that we have a great deal of content to offer within the continent. So I see nothing but a wonderful future for the advancement of education moving forward that encompasses online as another way of delivering education in Africa. So thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Negusi. Can we hear from you, Orlando Franco? 1 minute, your final takeaway, please.
Yes, I'm glad to hear all the conversations. Also very excited about the promising year that we have in front of us. More than a reflection, I would like to invite everyone here to set an aspiration. Where will each one of you would like to see progressing a year from now for the next summit? Keep that in mind and then reflect against that when we meet again. And probably you can share a bit about that and how much progress have we done. And happy to be part of that, by the way, if anyone wants to connect and look at that vision. I think this is a place to look at it together. Now, I'm fully embracing partnership from the point of view of let's set aspirations together and let's build them and let's deliver them. I think that would be my final thought.
Thank you very much, Orlando Franco. Professor Bohine, can you do your final takeaway, please?
Thank you very, very much. I believe we've all established the fact that online education is very, very important, but we also must ensure that this online education maintains quality, inclusivity, and learner engagement. We must also address digital infrastructure, accreditation, data protection, and its long-term viability. And so at the end of the day, we have to know that sustainable online education requires more than technology. It demands strategic partnership, sound governance, and innovative pedagogical models that adapt to learners' evolving needs. And that is what I want to share at the end of this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Bohini. And finally, Dr. Felicia Kwagbe.
Okay, thank you very much. I think for me, what really stood out related to the need for all of us to prioritize inclusivity. As we design our various programs via the LMS platforms, we always have to keep at the back of our minds as students with special needs. How can we really develop the programs and put in place the necessary infrastructure to allow them to not miss out from, what the rest of the population stands to benefit from leveraging this platform. But overall, I think in terms of looking ahead, we should all also be cognizant of the fact that moving ahead, our programs and the LMS platforms that we have would really be AI powered. We need to know that there will be a high influence of AI in our programs. And it would also help in terms of us fostering Pan-African collaboration. I think partnerships and collaboration is one key thing that has been highlighted throughout the discussion. So going ahead, these are some of the ways that I think, some of the things that I see deepening as we move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Felicia. And I would also want to thank Jocelyn, Doris, and then Charity. Thank you very much. Earlier, you were also able to share your experiences with us, and we are grateful for all of those insights. Thank you. I would like to also thank all of you. We had about 50 participants on this summit. You have stayed throughout almost 3 hours online, spent data and everything to be here. We are absolutely grateful. And before we go, I just want to let you know next year we'll be back again with this Academic Leadership Summit. So stay tuned and keep your ears on the ground. The notifications will come along sometime next year for the summit again. And lastly, from the 10th to the 14th of November, join us as we celebrate the Africa Universities Day here at the AAU. And it is under the theme, The Future of Learning in Africa, Technology, Innovation, Skills, and Inclusive Growth. So we look forward to having you from all across the continent celebrate the Africa Universities Day with us at the AAU. My name is Philemon Edwards. I want to thank you all for working with me nicely and making my work very easy whilst I moderated this session. I'm very grateful also for the opportunity to the LMS team and AAU. Thank you so much for staying with us. We will meet again. Take care and bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well done.
Bye-bye. Thank you for being a powerful moderator.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. That's been tonight.